classroom? Why are we expecting them to do more work? How is that feeding into the capitalist system? Just some thoughts.
Let me be a Debbie Downer here. Let's pick China, for example. Do you think the kids don't have homework because we're using their unpaid labor? If the kids are great in class, if they're great at the topic, the homework's not as important, right? But you're giving the homework because the kids aren't good at it. They need more help, so they're not complete morons. This woman is the problem.
Over these last 18 months, Democrats have delivered big time.
Yeah, big time. Right.
Black people and people of color in the queer community aren't seen by white queers as queer as they are. On almost every occasion where I've been
oh my God, the victim culture never stops. So black queers aren't seen as queer as white queers because she made this up. That's what we got here.
Discussing my queerness or my experiences with queerness with white gays, they speak to me in a condescending way and they treat me as if I am a straight person imposing on a
Can you imagine this discussion talking to white queers about this darker individual's experience in queerness? That's a conversation that be like you could use that at Gitmo, right? You could sit down the Gitmo detainees and say, we're going to talk about this person's queerness. This individual is going to come work for the CIA and talk about queerness for 8 hours. They would just say, I'll tell you everything. I just want this to stop.
Because they don't see us as queer as them. Queerness is seen as something that is white and a way to compare oppression, and it's used to compare oppression. So it's impossible for white gays to see us as gays.
This is so... You know what's so funny about this? Fat phobia is rooted in racism. So it's so funny that you're like, why did white people start doing it? It wasn't. It was rooted. It's rooted in bad.
Now, if one of you can convince me that fat phobia is rooted in racism, you will win a gold star. How do these people say this and they watch their video back and they go, this makes total sense. I heard this on BuzzFeed from a blogger that fat phobia is rooted in racism because it was a fat black woman who wrote the article, so it must be true.
I mean, it's it's rooted in racism.
Right.
This just proves that like half of you, no, like the majority of you, literally is so uneducated and don't know anything. You just talk to talk.
Now, how would you get educated on this? You just repeat the talking points of the ACLU, the Southern Poverty Law Center, BuzzFeed, and then that's considered educated. Then you're right on target and you're saying exactly what you're supposed to say. But if you deviate even a little bit, I don't care if you're darker than me, you are going to be a big fat meanie.
The time to put in the effort to even look up anything. Because
No,
you
thank you.
know that it's rooted in racism against black, fat women! Just like the
Even if there was a place to look it up, I don't care enough to look it up. That's the bottom line. Most of us are going about our business and we're like, I'm not doing this. And if I am, it's so minor that I don't care enough to address it because my neighbor or my relative is part black and I'm nice to them. I don't know what else to do here. I'm not going to follow my own sword to make you happy.
body positive movement was originally made for and by black, fat women! Why do you guys open your mouths when you don't know anything? So I'm begging you and every other skinny person to shut the up.
Wait a second, that was rich. Why do you open your mouth if you don't know anything? Here we got somebody in a glass house who's throwing cinder blocks and is kind of missing the point here that they don't know anything about the real world.
You'd think you guys would learn by now.
No, don't
Like,
care.
genuinely. You think you'd learn.
No.
That said that their district won't allow them to ask students for their pronouns. So here is a little workaround. This is an icebreaker.
So the district in question is not into the pronoun theater. They're like, hey, can you just teach the kids? I understand you got a mental illness, but just teach our kids. So here's the workaround so we can perpetuate the mental illness on the children that we have.
I called Call Me, because I'm bad at naming things, that I used with my second graders this year. So we sat in our community circle and went around the circle and introduced ourselves. And our introduction sounded like this. My name's Miss Parker, and when you talk about me, you can call me she.
Good. Shut the fuck up.
They went around, they did the same thing, they were very giggly.
That's rich. So my name is Miss Parker. I'm a woman. You can call me she. Kids are like, well, no shit, Sherlock. I can see you. I'm going to call you she. My eyes are saying she. I don't care what pronoun theater you want to do. You're a woman. I can look right at you and tell.
But afterwards, we talked about why that's important. Now, all of my kids go by pronouns that match the gender they were assigned at birth. But one of my little boys has long hair, and we talked about how...
So all the kids are normal, so we're going to have to interject mental illness into the class, because how else can we train these young people unless we force feed it to them really young? So all the kids go by the pronouns they were given at birth because they're normal kids, yet this one has to interject mental illness into the conversation. Otherwise, she has not fulfilled her mitzvah, we'll call it, of training the young socialist youth about destructing a culture very quickly.
It gets really frustrating when people call him she because they see him from behind and think he's a girl. One of my little girls said that she had shaved her head one year for lice, and people kept calling her he, and it made her really sad. So we kind of framed it in that way. You might not know who someone is or what.
So we kind of framed it in a way about kids normally growing up. So a boy with long hair who's tiny gets called she from behind. Girl who got her head shaved may get called he from behind. And how often is that happening? Once in a while? And that's part of growing up. So you'll realize, look at me, I'm not a she, I got long hair. And the kid overcomes something, builds their confidence. No, we have to frame this into some mental illness theater to make lunatics.
Want to be called by just looking at them. So hope that helps.
Am I a hero? I really can't say, but yes.
What does anti-capitalism have to do with feminism? A huge deal, actually. Capitalism reinforces patriarchal values and is...
Wait a second. So what does feminism have to do with anti-capitalism? Now we're conflating all sorts of talking points somehow to make, I guess, this white woman feel better about her shitty situation, or that somehow she would have done great if there was more feminism, if there was more socialism, her life would be a utopia. I think that's where this is going. Well, let's take a look.
Built with patriarchal values in mind, and it is sexist, and it disproportionately negatively affects women.
Right, of course.
But because it is also an extremely classist and ableist and racist system.
You see that? She's reading from her notes. So she's got the BuzzFeed notes up on the side of the screen, and she's like, okay, I got to stay on task here. I don't really understand anything about what I'm saying, but it's very important I repeat the exact talking points, so this video will get pushed by TikTok, and I'll get likes.
It then intersectionally disproportionately negatively impacts women who belong to all of those other marginalizations as well. Capitalism has to go. It has to come down in order for women to be liberated. That being said, even if it had nothing to do with women's liberation, I would still think that it needs to go because of the racism, the classism, the ableism. Right. Capitalism is...
Hold on, so if we get rid of capitalism, all the sins that they made up in their head are going to go away. Let's look to China, for example. It's a very homogenous population, but do you think by not having capitalism, the people are better? There's less natural human interaction. Like, when you look at somebody different than you, and you pass judgment, you're a little bit concerned because that's human nature. If you see somebody who's outside of your group, you want to get to know them first. That's how we're still alive. And she thinks that's going to make it better if there's no capitalism, like Soviet Union style stuff, that everything was equal. Everybody got a fair shake. Go to Cuba, for example. Try that one. See if everybody's got a fair shake. The fair shake is the poor people get the same shitty shake. The people that are loaded get the same good shake. And that's anti-capitalism in a nutshell.
An economic model that is the enemy of social radical inclusion.
What's up? My name is Lex. I'm a nurse and future nurse practitioner living in Florida, and today I want to talk about gender affirming care. Now, if you know me, you know that working around non-binary and
Let me translate for you. So Lex wants to do the experiments on young children, but not herself, so that she can virtue signal and feel good about her life by giving 5-year-olds hormones and cutting off their Johnson.
trans people, specifically youth, is my passion. That is what I want to dedicate my career to. And if you don't know me, there's your intro. Now, I know this topic is one that we've probably all heard in the news cycle. It is something that is being heavily focused on right now, specifically by conservatives. There's a lot of misinformation being spread.
I can tell you why it's being focused on, because it wasn't a thing a few years ago. We didn't have an explosion of children that said, yes, I'm transgender. Now, if it was a true explosion and the homework was done, you said, these people really have body dysmorphia, you go, there must be something in the food supply or water, medication. Experts have change the way they evaluate it. If you're depressed and lonely, hey, let's try something new, maybe a new gender.
And there's a lot of questions. So one thing I kind of want to do is back us up and talk about the people that this conversation is centered around, and that is trans people and trans kids. When we talk about trans kids, we are talking about children and adults who are...
When we talk about trans kids, we're talking about trans kids, not adults. Can you see the confusion even in her head? She just said, we talk about trans kids in adults, but we talk about trans kids. I mean, she doesn't even understand what she's saying. She's just regurgitating what Dr. Levine has told her to say and what her friend group has thought is the important thing to look good on social media.
Being in a body that they do not identify with. We are talking about a group of people who statistically experience much higher rates of mental illness and much higher rates of successful attempts. And that is really...
So if they got a higher rate of mental illness and we want to do dress-up theater to try to solve it, and at the end of the day, after we've dressed them up, given them hormones, cut off their natural parts, is the mental illness, is the offing better? Are the results better for the people in question? And the answer is, from all studies I've seen, it's not better. And if it was better, like, okay, it's 50% better, I'd be like, all right, I guess that's the way to go. But we haven't seen a study. And if there was a study, that's all you'd hear about.
The core focus here, because when we talk about saving lives and how gender affirming care saves lives, that's the thing that we're talking about. We're talking about allowing people to live in a body that they are able to do their day-to-day life in. Now, I will say a lot of the people who have a lot to say on this topic have never even stopped to have a conversation with a trans child or a trans person.
Because most of us don't know a trans child. I'm 50 plus years old. I've never ran into a trans child, because normally you're not labeling a kid. You're letting the kid kind of explore, see where this ends up. If the kid wants to dress up like a girl and as a boy, you just say, okay, let's see where this goes. We'll address it if it continues, because it doesn't normally continue. That's why you don't see them.
By any means. Now, within the realm of gender affirming care, there are two routes that we can kind of go. There are puberty blockers, which are medications that will stop the body from going through the biological matched puberty, which...
So stopping the body from naturally growing, naturally developing. And it's not just the body parts below, it's the brain, it's the whole system. We're going to stop a natural growth pattern. And somehow in their minds, there's no downside to this. If you listen to what they tell you, there is no downside. But you and I both know, watching this, there's got to be some downside. There's no purely upside when you're taking a medication, but they will never admit that.
When we talk to trans people and when we listen to the experiences that they've had, they have all pretty much reverberated the same thing, that puberty is one of the most triggering things that a trans person can go through in a body that they do not identify with.
All right, so puberty is a triggering thing for all of us to go through. Before puberty, you had no hormones, right? So then all of a sudden you go through puberty. As a normal person, it's different. It is triggering, we'll call it, for everybody. So saying it's the most triggering thing for trans people is hyperbolic, because it's triggering for everybody. So you just got to follow the lies. Whatever they're telling you, it's not in the best interest of the person who they identify as trans, the person with a mental illness that needs to be addressed. For these zealots, it's about being right. Regardless of if they are right or not, it's about they want to think they're right. They want to prove to you they're right, and they want you to agree they're right. Otherwise, you'll be canceled.
I just spilled on me. All right, happy Friday, America. So, how's your Civil War going? Huh? I know it's crazy out there. I nearly got hit by a cannonball. It's good to see Brian Stelter found work. Call me, Brian. But once again, let's look at what the media defines as harm versus what real harm is. You probably didn't hear about the machete attack in New York 2 days ago. That's right. I said machete. Who knew we live in the Brazilian rainforest. But there was a machete attack in New York, and get this, it was a repeat machete attack by a repeat machete attacker who'd been arrested many times, including for attacking people with, you'll never guess, that's right, machetes! She also attacked people with bear spray, which is only supposed to be used on Brett Baer. He actually likes it. Ugh. Pervert. But the psycho must be wondering, what's it gotta take to get arrested in New York? She must be getting machete elbow, for Christ's sake. Oof. So days after being released, this young black woman was out on the street again and attacked an older black doorman. Not much of a story, of course, because, well, the variables are all wrong. She's not extreme MAGA. And besides, jail cells are for Steve Bannon and guys who dress as Vikings at the Capitol. And how about the fiend who shot and killed 4 people in Memphis and then smiled like it was his high school yearbook photo and he had just been voted class clown? This ghoul was also a repeat offender. He'd been previously charged with attempted murder, but that was downgraded, so he's back on the street faster than Hunter Biden's last date. But I guess we'd hear more about it if he was extreme MAGA. But he's not. And besides, like Alec Baldwin, they'll just blame the gun. Too soon? Because remember, the real war is between MAGA and democracy. You know, it's like when Jaws made people scared of sharks, when easy bake ovens were a far greater threat. Oh, wow. I must be old. Am I really older than the audience? Oh, God, I'm gonna need some relief factor. Anyway, you see what happened in Las Vegas? Huge story. A notable investigative journalist, which rules out Kilmeade. This journalist was found stabbed to death. Now, this is the kind of story that enrages journalists. One of their own gets taken out for speaking truth to power. He'd been actively writing about Vegas corruption and was stabbed to death by someone he pissed off. You know, it sounds like a scene right out of Casino or Cat's Honeymoon. But he helped catch his own killer. The killer's DNA was found under the victim's fingernails. So I guess this is what Biden was warning us about. These extreme MAGA types lashing out at our media and our Democratic leaders. Except, well, the accused killer is actually a Democratic leader, a Democrat politician in Vegas. So no wonder the media abandoned the story like it was Ashley Biden's diary. A lot of important tips on bathing in there. That's vague enough. Right? Now, if you read the headlines or skim the articles, you'd never know the killer is a Democrat, which I totally understand, because whoever writes the article has to figure that the killer will probably be out of jail in mere months. And we know how the killer feels about journalists who write bad things about him. So really, there's no need to rub his nose in it over being a Democrat. Just call him an official. Now, you think a Republican would get the same treatment if he murdered someone? They're way ahead of me. You're right, but you knew that. Fact is, the paper that the dead journalist worked on was one of the few Republican-owned papers. So this attack was not just against one reporter, but an entire staff, a paper. And the media doesn't give a because they aren't on the same team. So they erased the political affiliation like it was a biological woman. Now, making crime funny. It's hard. Now, if the situation were reversed, then you would know the headline. Republican murders brave journalist. Sorry, no, it would be extreme MAGA murders journalist. Women and minorities hit hardest. Experts blame Trump and climate change. And it would be woven into the fantasy of this so-called MAGA civil war. It would be the initial volley of the brewing battle. Even Joe Biden would have his pants at half-mast. Patriotic. But since the story doesn't fit that criteria, it heads to oblivion like Crystal Pepsi and Dan Rather. There's no political capital to be gained when a journalist is murdered by a Democrat. And now in comes Obama, who will gleefully ignore all this mayhem like he did with ISIS. He'll also say the threat to this country isn't crime. It's people who don't vote for Democrats whose policies lead to more crime. It's not all the senseless murders you see. It's the complaints about the senseless murders. So remember when the media was happily hoodwinked by Jussie Smollett?
Hey, get a load of this. Instagram took down a Fauci parody account after pressure from the Biden administration. That's from a lawsuit.
Well, I never saw it and wonder what it was.
Instagram immediately complied with a Biden White House request to remove a fake account that parodied Dr. Anthony Fauci, according to emails obtained by Republican-run states that have sued the federal government for alleged colluding with top social media sites. In July of last year, Clark Humphrey, a White House digital director of the COVID-19... Hey, can you... Malcolm, we covered this. Jen Psaki, I should have got it, when she said that they were giving orders to social media on who to take down. Can you find that video and send it to me? I know I already showed it on this show once. Do you remember that? She was like was it last summer she said that?
Yeah, I remember that. I'm thinking of Ben going, the real snowflakes are, you don't think that's a little more sinister? No? Okay.
In July of last year, Clark Humphrey, the White House digital director of the COVID-19 response team, he wrote an email to an official at Instagram asking the Meta-owned, that's Facebook-owned social media platform to take down the fake account. You're shitting me.
I want to know what the account was.
So here is the email. So Clark Humphrey, digital director, COVID-19 response team at the White House. And hi there. Any way we can get this pulled down? It is not actually one of ours. And there's a link to the account.
So he worded that. So this is like a satirical account that people know is a joke. And so he worded it to make it seem like it's a on purpose, maybe Russian disinformate. Who would be making a fake, not a joke?
Deactivating fake Fauci Instagram.
Yeah.
Why would you?
You frame it that way so it's not like a joke. So that's why I want to see what it's like. If it was like,
and then here they reply back, yep, on it.
Nice. Oh.
And do you see how fast that? So this was at 1:24 p.m. They got back to him at 1:24 and 46 seconds.
But it's not censorship if it's not the government. Oh, wait, it is the government.
That could that be faster? Come on.
Yeah, they just have to touch base real quick.
They returned within the minute. They returned this email saying we're going to take down that thing. Yep, I'm on it. An Instagram official replies soon afterward. It took less than a minute for the Instagram official to reply. The site poking fun at Fauci was taken down. It is unclear who operated the parody account. In May, I wonder if it was Rand Paul. In May, the attorneys general for Missouri and Louisiana filed suit against President Biden and other top.
This She-Hulk clip is going viral that Disney doesn't want you to know about, I am sure, that shows that She-Hulk is even worse than we could have imagined. So, huge shout out to Chad for sharing this with me. Thought you might enjoy the She-Hulk irony, and this is absolutely hilarious. So let's go ahead and check out this clip here and see what's going on.
So it's funny, I've been seeing people post this She-Hulk TikTok videos, but a lot of people still haven't realized that She-Hulk was played by a man.
Wait, what? You mean that in a show where they spend about 65% of the time trashing men, they still needed a man to play She-Hulk? What is this irony? What is actually going on here? Here, this is hilarious. This absolutely reeks of just complete irony, and I absolutely love it. Let's go ahead and see what else he has to say here.
You ready? Watch this.
What? Oh, no.
Yes, motherfuckers, that's me. Who is it?
So that's absolutely just fantastic. I love just how hilarious this really is. That shows that, you know, despite all of the feminist messaging that this show has, they still needed men to play certain characters and play certain roles. And yes, he does play the body double of She-Hulk, and
Testing, 1, 2, 3. I think my mic is messed up. There we go. Sorry about that. Oh my God. What else? What I was bringing up earlier was, first off, about the whole Instagram thing. Damn, when did my mic go out? About the whole Instagram thing. Yeah, body double during the CGI. My number one complaint with She-Hulk is the CGI is so messed up. Her smile looks like the Joker. Her face looks bright green and cartoonish, like they put no texture to it whatsoever. Her hair doesn't flow right, and with my 20/20 vision, I can actually see the frame skipping whenever she tries to move, meaning she has no bones in that damn body, and it's just like a fluent. Now, there's nothing about She-Hulk that I like from that point. Now, from the acting point, it's just shit. First off, Episode 1, She-Hulk saves Bruce Banner from a car accident. He's bleeding. She rips this door off a car. She ain't even in Hulk form yet. She hasn't even got the blood in the system yet. This is how she becomes a Hulk. She rips the door off a car, and some of Bruce, like a drop of Bruce's blood goes into her arm. Just one little drop. And suddenly she Hulks out. And then you cut to a screen, like a second later. I'm surprised that you reacted that way. Most people die. She goes, oh, so I'm better than you? That's literally a line in the movie. Now, we have witnessed Hulk shoot himself in the head. Well, we didn't see that, but we get the gist from all the Hulk movies. He put a bullet in his mouth. Big guy woke up, spit it out. We've seen this guy fall as Bruce Banner. We saw this guy fall as Bruce Banner from a UFO, hitting Rainbow Bridge, breaking every bone, not one cut. And then, out of view, he turns into the Hulk and grabs the dog thing. And then, yeah, we witnessed Bruce Banner fall from so many different heights that he's never been cut. But this one little car accident gives him a little cut. And this little cut gives her enough blood. And then she's instantly everything. Better than him in every way. And it's even a line in the movie that says, I'm better than you. That's when I just couldn't watch it from that point on, because everything about She-Hulk was so cartoonish. I mean, I watched the reviews and stuff, but what he's talking about is whenever they shoot the CGI Hulk, it's a man in a green CGI suit, pretty much. If they're willing to go to the length of changing an entire storyline to fit a narrative of a 5'5" feminazi who really is, if you watch the episodes, she's a shitty lawyer all around. She doesn't know how to be a lawyer. They picked the wrong actress for it. They're not writing anything in the script, and from what I hear, they're even trying to make Doctor Strange spellcasting a legal limitation. Now, before that, I was watching a video about how they banned Fauci's parody account, which is stupid. It's bullshit. Everybody has a parody account. Every site has a parody account, and they all do weird shit like that. But I have been banned from all the social medias. Tumblr, Twitter, YouTube, not YouTube yet. I mean, I have so many strikes and so many suspensions from YouTube, but I've been banned from Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Parler. Oh, Parler hated me. There's a few more out there. I've been banned from all of them. And on Twitch, I've literally been banned from every leftist stream, but only 4 or 5 right-wing streams. So people say, when they talk to me, oh, you're too far right, you're too far left, you're too far... No, I'm just a guy in the middle who's got a story, and nobody wants to listen to it, so I'm gonna bitch about what everybody else is bitching about. And earlier, before you entered, there was a comment from YouTube in the chat here, and he was telling me to pick up a dictionary, and kids know more about this shit than I do about transitioning when you're young. That was a topic earlier. I was like, no. If you haven't hit puberty yet and you're on puberty blockers, then you're not getting the hormones that are needed to give you the right frame of mind to know what you're looking for. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the... She looks at Bruce and says, I'm better than you because I can control my emotions better than you. Yet, in the next scene, she's triggered by men walking. Seriously. Triggered by men walking. If she can control her emotions better than Bruce, then how is she going to Hulk out because 2 guys want to get some at a bar? Yeah, She-Hulk is not even worth watching. It's not. They ruined it.
Yes, Tatiana Maslany obviously plays She-Hulk as well for certain scenes as well, but you know, all of this just goes to show that they just can't get away from men. It's so funny.
Oh yeah, I like watching Tharias. When Tharias reviews She-Hulk, he will tell you everything. Like, you don't even need to watch it. And Tharias will break it down, why it's bad. The dude is like awesome. What is it? Keep. Yeah, Tharias Unlimited. Alright, let's go do his episode 4 review. Because he points out the hypocrisy, like, and it's not just She-Hulk, it's everything Disney. Everything Disney is doing this. Even the Star Wars.
At least something actually happened this week.
Yeah. This guy knows what's up. He's got his finger on the pulse of She-Hulk. Oh, don't watch Miss Marvel either. They ruined Miss Marvel. And that's the thing. I had Miss Marvel comics growing up. I was never a Hulk guy. I was never an X-Men guy. My comic books were Ant-Man, Avengers, ElfQuest, back when they were Marvel, Doctor Strange, Miss Marvel, and Captain Marvel. Now, Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel were different. Miss Marvel was a blonde woman who had the powers of Reed Richards, and Captain Marvel was a shape-shifting being. Yeah, he was a Skrull, not a Kree. Back in the comic book I read, Captain Marvel walks into a FBI facility, and everybody thinks he's Nick Cage. And then he shapeshifts and says, "Nah, I'm just messing with you." So, yeah. Apparently, they were going to bring that to the MCU, where Captain Marvel, i.e. the Skrull who shapeshifted to look like Nick Cage, was the original Captain Marvel, the male version. Yeah. Well, there does come a time in everyone's life where they start to question their sexuality for one reason or another. But when it comes to trans issues, a child doesn't even know he's gay until he reaches to the point where the changes are being made. If you're going through puberty and you start to feel weird about this growing and hair growing here and hair growing there, you shouldn't, if you block that puberty process, then you're never going to go through the awkwardness of knowing what you're attracted to begin with, which is why before puberty, you really do not have any dysphoria. Like I say, toddlers from age 2 to 4. From age 2 to 4, these are the most innocent years. There's no color. They don't see color when playing with a kid. They don't see sexuality when... and that makes them vulnerable to predators. Predators actually use that to lure kids in. But once they hit puberty, they know, oh, this is weird. Good touch, bad touch. This is weird. Which is why some kids have to learn the good touch, bad touch, because they don't know what sexuality is. And if you start bringing that into the school system and saying, okay, this is me, I'm a gay man, and this is my husband, this is what we did Saturday night. Now, you just introduce that to children. Now let's say a predator enters a room and says, hey, you're coming with me and we're going to do this. Well, my teacher says this is normal, so let's go do this. because they gave the impression that this is the norm when it's not the norm. The norm is survival of the human race. Survival of the human race is breeding. When the caveman and the cave woman were in the cave and they said, oh shit, we need to survive. The woman had the baby in her belly. The woman had the baby in her belly and she says, well, I can't or this one's gonna die. She didn't say, oh, I'm gonna abort this and go get a job. No, she said, we need to preserve the human that's inside me. So the man says, okay, I'm gonna have to grow some muscle and go do this, in spite of what I think of here, in spite of my mental ability, in spite of what I'm attracted to. My job is to feed you, protect you, and keep that alive. And that instinct kept with us until society introduced hedonism, the coin, roads. When society... Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, that's what I was... Another thing. On one of Odin's Men's videos earlier, there was a redhead complaining that fat phobia was created because a fat black woman wrote an interview and everybody hates fat. No, fat has always been beautiful, and that's a good point. Rome. Before Rome started making statues that glorified women, they made statues that glorified big women, fertile women. They had curves, they were thick. Even in Greece, Rome, the Norse people, Norway. You look at Germany, the big woman has always been lusted after because of her fruitfulness and her fertility. You know what I'm saying though, right? Now fast forward to today. They say it's Western culture that brings forth fat phobia. No. Go to India, go to China, go to Korea, go anywhere in the East. The only fat people you see are literally sumo wrestlers. Nothing else. Buddha was a fat guy. All he did was sit on his fat ass. But everyone else, people in Japan literally try to be so skinny, they break their feet to have the smallest, most petite feet to be wanted by a rich man. Yeah. It's actually the Western culture that has always accepted big women. I'm married to a big woman. But Western culture has always accepted that. It wasn't until the introduction of communism to the feminists. Oh, we want to be like China. Well, if you want to be like China, then you should be fat phobic because Chinese people don't like fat people. Go to China and point out one. Well, we need to go to Russia and be like communism like that. Well, go to Russia and point out all the big ones because all the big ones are over 80. You know what I'm saying? It's just very weird, man. I feel like I'm living in the damn Twilight Zone and all common sense has been thrown out the door when it comes to people wanting to put drugs into kids that shouldn't be going into kids. People who are cutting off body parts that they regret cutting off a year later and want to go back. No, you already messed up. You already cut it off. This is... Yes. Yes, the beauty standards in Europe were as small, tiny, skinny, even like midgets, but they would wear lead collars to draw the iron out of their blood so that they would become white and pale like a ghost because who's the fairest of them all? The fairest, the lighter, the whiter, the brighter was the most beautiful in Europe. And that was before the Moors invaded and turned all the Italians into brown hair, brown eyes. But yeah, this whole country has gone batshit fucking crazy, man.
Okay. Before We're 4 episodes in now, so nearly halfway through the season, believe it or not, and this episode felt like the first one written by someone who might have actually read a few She-Hulk comics. Maybe. She-Hulk went on some dates, she got laid, so she was finally doing the sexcapade stuff, finally trying to enjoy some aspects of being She-Hulk, which the character is supposed to do. She's supposed to like being big, green, and sexy. She's supposed to sleep around with a lot of dudes. And they kind of did that for a minute, which I almost took as a positive, until I saw what they did with it. Because they very quickly reverted to form. They just couldn't help themselves. And it's a pretty sad indictment on the state of this show that the very brief moments
they
that
made
were
her a victim.
kind of
They
like
made
the
She-Hulk
comics were
a
the parts I
victim.
came the closest to being okay with. But just like with the origin, it's like the writers couldn't get away from it or ruin it fast enough. They just did it to tease us or maybe shoot some stuff for the trailer. But it doesn't appear to be part of the show's MO. It doesn't seem to be what the writers really want to do. And of course, they couldn't not insert their politics into it. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The episode did have one thing going for it though. One nice thing that they somehow managed to not screw up, though not for lack of trying. Wong. Wong makes another appearance. He plays a pretty significant role here, and he's easily the best thing in it. Now, his role doesn't make sense for several reasons, because the writers have no idea what they're doing, but Benedict Wong is very talented and is able to transcend the subpar material and deliver something that at least didn't make me want to drink until I couldn't remember what I just watched. Is that damning the episode with faint praise? Maybe, but goddammit, I've got to find something to keep myself engaged here, and with the way things are going, the show's title character probably isn't going to fit that bill.
Yeah.
Anyway, episode 4 begins with some two-bit stage magician, Donnie.
Which one's that? That's Lil Man.
Little man's not a little bit more.
Yeah, he's my little man. Yeah, we got a lot of dogs. He was asking which one it was. But, if you look at old cave drawings, it pretty much does exactly what you said. It points out exactly, this is man, this is woman. Man, woman, child make family. Family needs to be protected. Who's the one that's going to sacrifice his life to defend? Well, she can make life, so I'm going to be the one to go put myself in danger to keep her safe. And it wasn't toxic masculinity back then, it was survival. Now, Elon Musk made a comment the other day about there's a population growth problem. We're selling more adult diapers than we are infant diapers. There's a problem there. There's a lot more elderly than there are babies. Why? Think about this for a moment. When you keep pushing this abortion thing, then you're gonna end up with the population problem. And people keep saying, oh, we're overpopulated as it is. No, okay. I want you to look at Earth right now. Go to Google Earth, zoom out as far as possible. There are almost 8 billion people on the planet. Point them out. The Earth is so fruitful, it can inhabit close to 100 billion people before you even start to see a stain from space. That's what's going on. We have the resources, we have the technology, we have the knowledge, we have the food. We can do it. The thing is, people are greedy, and governments are greedy, and people are one-sided, and people are over-emotional, and they don't take science into it. If the human race is going to survive, we need to reproduce. But we're not, because we're selling more adult diapers than we are baby diapers, because we're having more abortions than normal. Oh, I guarantee you, dude, if we start building, okay, there's a documentary, The Man from 2037 or 30, yeah, you know who I'm talking about? The Man from 3037 or 2037? The man who came back, the police found him. A society starts to collapse when its population starts to dwindle. When its population starts to dwindle, you got to look at why it's dwindling. abortions are at an all-time high, and they're even passing laws where you can abort at 9 months. I'm not against abortions. Hey, I'm all for them. But there's limits. Now, I do believe the right needs to shut the hell up, let them have their abortions. But if the left is going to say, oh, I'm 8 months pregnant, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, you spoke too late. You got to at least give it up for adoption or something. Because you know what I'm saying? What are the pressures, though? And you can't say climate change, because climate change, every time they make it an issue, in the 70s it was going to be earthquakes, in the 80s it was going to be the ozone layer, and then, you know what I mean? The climate change thing, there's always a different climate change event going to happen. And in Barack's time, he said the polar caps are going to melt in New York and California, the sea levels would rise. But now the polar caps are gone, the sea levels are actually getting lower instead of higher. I mean, no one's ever right about climate change, so I don't even talk about that. Because I don't think, I've lived through so many different climate change events that I just don't even listen to that anymore. Now, here's the fucked up thing. George Floyd dies under a cop's knee. Suddenly there are riots in the street. Now, for some reason, I was on Twitter that time and I saw all the videos coming in. I was very interested in what was going on. Now, one thing I was saying was like, oh my God, this is really good. Because our group thought this was going to dent the population because it's happening in America, France. It's happening everywhere except Africa and China and Russia. Anyways, all these riots are going on. We're looking at the population. At that point, it was 7.6 billion. Yeah. It was, no, 6.6 billion. It was 6.6 billion during the George Floyd riots. Now they introduced COVID. And we're like, oh man, this is real. Because as you can tell by my channel's name, I'm into like these doomsday conspiracy, you know. And we actually started keeping track of the population. Because, hey, if they're going to throw a disease on top of the riots and stuff, then all things aside, we're going to see a heavy population drop. Now it went from 6.9 billion to 7.4 billion by December 2021. And me and this group, we had already been banned from Twitter at this point. We've been banned from Facebook. We have a little leeway. But there was a population hike from George Floyd to 2021. And by January 1st, 2022, the population was like 7.9 billion. Now, according to the CDC, the World Health Organization, and the Office of Vital Statistics, there were approximately 558 million births on the planet, but only 478 million deaths by COVID. Okay, so that means the population should not have went up 1 point. Yeah, send me the video. But yeah, there was a population hike, so much so that it was almost as if there was no death at all. That's the fucked up part. Yeah, there's the nursing home I used to work at, Rose Manor. There was a staph infection spreading, and they had to tear down the building. But they're not allowed to build another building there because staff will not leave that soil. I'll be right back. Go ahead and send me that link, though. way shit's happening. Oh, shit. Where the fuck I put? Okay. Alright, let's go to this link here. I might have to copy and paste because the chat I'm seeing is not through Twitch. It's through OBS. It's through Restreamio. I'm not allowed to stream through Facebook anymore because of my Biden comments. Yeah, one of my comments was, we need a Lee Harvey to take care of our current Kennedy, or some shit like that. And we do. I mean, oh my God. People don't like free speech anymore. Yeah, one of my most recent posts was, oh my God, did you see that speech? The one where he's wearing where he's got the red in the background. And I said, and the last post I made on Facebook, it didn't get flagged or anything, but they sent me a message. I'm not allowed to do live videos anymore. But the last post was, has anyone ever needed a Lee Harvey so bad that it was very weird? Because Lee Harvey was a communist, right? And Lee Harvey was with the guy they say shot Kennedy. But here you have what looks like Stalin. That's what he did, what Stalin did. Stalin had the red lights, Stalin had the podium, Stalin had the soldiers in the background. Biden's last speech was Stalin-esque. And everyone knows Stalin ripped all the pages out of the fascist handbook from Mussolini. Yeah, dude, you don't even know, man. I was arrested for holding a sign that says the Shawnee Police Department rapes women and children. Can't say that. Okay, I'll change my sign to say Judge McDaniels rapes women and children. You can't say that. All right, CPS rapes women and children. I actually spent 6 months in jail for contempt of court failure to find a job. I was arrested for protesting in my own front yard. Yeah, dude, I got stories. And you go through my YouTube channel, you'll see the stories.
Why is everything gonna collapse? Be warned, this video won't make you feel better. It's meant for those who wish to know what to expect. I won't merely state that we're in trouble. Instead, I'm going to summarize what I now know of abrupt climate change and how...
Before he goes on about this climate change, I'm just going to point out that Earth and all life on Earth has been either annihilated, made extinct, or made new, or evolved, or adapted from so many different climate changes that have already happened. The Earth has already been through, 3 ice ages? And we're coming to the end of the 3rd one. There's going to be an expected 4th. That's the expected. Is this video about the expected 4th ice age to come? Or is it about Yellowstone ready to erupt? And if Yellowstone does erupt, it's going to take out half America from the volcanic ash alone. Oh yeah, the Earth will always fix itself like a dog with fleas. You know, it knows.
It will play out for all of us. But mostly, I'll explain why it's completely unavoidable. By now, you're probably aware we're in the midst of a biodiversity collapse. We are experiencing the 6th mass extinction at a rate greater than when dinosaurs were wiped out. When you take out 50% of all terrestrial wildlife in 50 years, there's going to be some repercussions.
Counterpoint to what he just said there. For every species that goes extinct, a new species has come about. What I mean by this is, when people say save the whales, save the spotted owl, save this, save that, have you ever seen those survival of the cutest videos? Do you know how many species of animals went extinct that nobody cared about because they were either ugly, deadly, or poisonous? You know what I mean? Thousands and thousands of species go extinct every day. And thousands more are new. Like the guy who took a salamander from Southern California, took up to Northern California, he literally created a new species.
Regarding oceans, the loss of 90% of whales and sharks has unprecedented impact on phytoplankton. Whales have a boost effect on both phytoplankton and krill, while sharks are
Have you ever been to exitmundi.com? Have you ever been there? Look, browse that website while we're watching this. Exit Mundi is scary as hell.
It's microvegetation that absorbs CO2 and produces oxygen. It's estimated that over 50% of our oxygen originates from ocean. Yet another problem.
I guess you could say suicide countdown. That's my doomsday cult. I'm pretty much in a doomsday cult, but I'm in all of it kind of a thing, you know?
For phytoplankton, the loss of whales and sharks aren't the only threats. There's also plastic waste, acidification, dead zones, oil spills, noise pollution that prevents mammals from singing and mating.
Over radioactive areas, over magnetic areas, I mean.
And recent findings would show this to be extremely optimistic. Our oceans will be empty by 2048. If this happens, or if we go anywhere near it, we are entirely screwed. I will conclude by talking about coral reefs, which migrate from south to north and are undergoing massive bleaching in tropical regions, an absolute disaster for local biodiversity. Only, tropical coral is not particularly adaptable to temperate climates, and it mostly just throws a big fat wrench in the engine of temperate zones biodiversity. There's also the exchanges of warm and cold bodies of water that are changing at a staggering speed because of the melting of glaciers, which has a direct impact on major ocean currents like the Gulf Stream. If this stops, and some scientists now refer to it as nearly certain, that's virtually all temperate climates that stand to be affected. With less heat comes less evaporation, and less clouds, and less rainfall. We don't just have oceans, there's land biodiversity as well, and this one happens to be in complete agony. On the topic of agriculture alone, you need only know that nearly...
Do you know what the temperature was in 1929? What was the highest recorded temperature in I'm going to say 1929. Because what this guy is saying was brought up way back then during the Dust Bowl. And in the Dust Bowl, yes, there it is, 130. Now, a lot of people were right there. Highest recorded temperature was 134 degrees Fahrenheit. It was during the Dust Bowl. 1913 reached temperature 134 degrees. Yeah. Yeah, because the temperature was cooler then, because they were like, I don't know how long an ice age lasts, but as the ice melts, the temperature will get higher, and the ocean might even go away. But that's where the fourth ice age is going to come to replenish itself. But yeah, we as a human race, we need to think about expanding. We need to think about going to space, finding another planet to inhabit, or creating one of those kick-ass moon bases like Darth Vader has so humans can live on it or something. But no, they're focused on, let's fix this climate here and now. It can't be fixed. It can be replenished, and it will replenish itself, and it will annihilate all life on it. But This is why I like Elon Musk. He needs to get us out there. He needs to build us one of those, I want to say Dinosphere? That sphere that can take a black hole and use it for energy. Dyson sphere? Exactly. Because every second space is expanding, the galaxy that's our neighbor is drifting further away from us. So to get to the next galaxy might be like, I don't know, 2 light years. In 2 years from now, it'll be 4 light years away. And the longer we wait, the more it expands. Dyson spheres, yeah. And I think Elon Musk, he started something that's going to lead to the Dyson spheres. But I also believe that Starlink is part of the climate problem. So now, it may just be me off the chart thinking, but what happens when you got all these satellites reflecting sunlight downward? And yes, it's supposed to provide internet for the entire globe. Now imagine all these satellites are surrounding the Earth and the sunlight's reflecting, putting extra UV rays down. Starlink might be causing less rainfall and hotter temperatures. Yeah.
95% of our
I saw a video, dude. It said in 23 trillion years, there's going to be nothing left but black holes and particles of light. And the video just says something like, it was baffling. I just really hope that there's something more than just humans right here and now. Like maybe there's another race of aliens out there trying to gather up all life and saying, hey, this is going to happen 23 trillion years. We need to figure some shit out. Like if we can make a Dyson sphere and cover a black hole, when all... Yeah, it's a scary
You can blame this on the use of pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides.
But that's kind of video keeps you up at night thinking, oh my God, why am I even here now if I'm not going to be here then?
Resulting in diseased vegetables designed to withstand pesticides, but sorely lacking in genetic diversity, which threatens their resilience. As far as terrestrial mammals go, we've encroached upon their turf so badly that they struggle to survive, or have no other choice.
But this is a perfect video for the title of my stream here, Suicide Countdown, because humans are pretty much committing suicide. They are. They're not focusing on the actual problem. They're bickering about sex parts. They're bickering about masculinity, they're bickering about these small issues that they're not caring about the future.
But to live near humans. A good example is the wolf. We know that each wolf covers immense territory, but we insist on leaving them increasingly little space. We then wonder why they attack sheep. Is our response to concede land? Of course not. We kill them. In France alone, they are killed at a rate of 40 per year in a population of only 300. Brilliant. Turning now to humanity's voracious and growing appetite for energy. Our society is terminally addicted to energy, and most of our political and economic decisions perpetuate the misconception that energy sources are somehow infinite. So, about energy. We mainly use oil, coal, and gas to produce energy. All three currently represent 92% of the world's energy production. As for the remaining 8%, 4 comes from nuclear, 3 from dams, and 1 from what we call renewable energy.
Now, there are other energy sources out there. I mean, if any of my science fiction stories would ever get published, I want to see how much of it could be science fact. Like, I have this vision of a nanobot, just one nanobot the size of a single cell, and it runs itself off of pure energy, a 0-point power source. And this nanobot can replicate itself to have an exact copy. And that copy replicates its own 0-point power source. So the nanobot cannot die, And it has everlasting energy that it creates itself. Don't know how, I don't know the science behind it, but imagine this nanobot, it splits into two. And then it splits, and then it can replicate any matter that it touches, like human flesh, human bone, human blood, and the nanobot creates a human. But it's still retaining its nanobot energy, the 0-point power source. And then, you see what I'm saying? If it makes sense at all? Yes. It'd be easier to make biologically. There is so much energy in the human body that people combust spontaneously. Now, I honestly, there's a short while there, I thought the human beings were made up of the nanobots, because in the Bible it says God formed man from the clay of the earth, or the sand of the earth, the dirt, whatever, and he breathed into him life. Now, if you look up the chemicals inside earth, sand, dirt, mud, all that, it's the exact same material makeup of the human body. Right down to the human body having like 70% water. I mean, the Bible said this, science says this, they both agree. So, what if everything else is real? Magic, unicorns, dragons, alternate universes, parallel universes, alternate timelines. I really hope all that does exist, because if it doesn't, and this energy crisis is going to take us to 23 trillion years from now, and there's nothing, yeah. But yeah. I like what Jimmy Neutron said, let's do it for carbon-based life forms. And then Sheen was like, yeah, for carbonated life forms. Carbonated.
Today,
can you imagine a carbonated life form?
But they're just a drop in the bucket as far as global production goes. And they're not exactly the holy grail. The energy production itself doesn't lead to emissions, but it kicks in with a vengeance come storage time. Batteries. Storage is required for such forms of energy, unless you intend on using your solar-powered lights in broad daylight and shutting them off when the sun's out. Would you? Probably not. The most carbon-stingy energy...
We need that machine that could take 1 inch of cubic seawater, 1 cubic inch of seawater, and turn it into enough power to power an entire continent for a year. It's fusion, right? It's not nuclear fusion, is it? Where they just take a cubic inch of seawater and they turn it into pure energy by taking the... Because look at water by itself. 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. Hydrogen is very flammable. Oxygen, very flammable. How is it they can't get all that energy just from a cubic inch of seawater if by itself the gases are flammable?
Today are nuclear and hydroelectric dams. But this is a whole bunch of other major concerns. Radioactive waste and risks of meltdowns for nuclear, environmental devastation, and habitat destruction for dams. In short, there is no such thing as clean mass energy production.
Nope.
It just doesn't exist. And in terms of oil production, oil wells are seeing their returns on investment plummet fast. It's defined as the number of barrels of oil you produce.
That's why we need to go steampunk, dude. Steampunk. Think about it. A spaceship powered by someone shoveling coal and boiling water. Think about that for a moment, man. We need to go steampunk.
For every barrel spent on extraction. In the 1920s, the ratio was 100 to 1. Today, it is dangerously close to 10 to 1, or even as poor as 4 to 1 in some cases. In short, we're consuming more and more oil in order to extract and produce less. Oil has never been so costly and inefficient. In fact, this peak oil you've heard so much about was in 2006. We haven't produced more in a year ever since. Experts believe that this will remain through 2020, at which time we will observe a steady decline. By the way, there is peak gas as well, and this happened in 2010. Peak coal will hit by 2020. And I sincerely doubt that we have the necessary resources to make a full switch to renewable energies. Speaking of which, the production of metal can't last forever either, and demand for metal grows with every passing day, largely thanks to electronics.
Oh yeah, tungsten's gone. We have to recycle aluminum cans just to get that tungsten, because there are no more tungsten deposits anywhere. Unless we, I don't know, create a spaceship and go to Mercury, the iron giant, and start getting metals from there. But we're not focusing on future, we're focusing on the here and now. Oh, he does? Sweet. I want to see that.
But very much across all industries. The problem being that most metals simply isn't recyclable. Less than a single percent of rare metals in our phones gets recycled and reused.
Yeah.
Here's an example. 95% of titanium we use isn't in the form of a metal. It's used as a universal white pigment. It's therefore in all our titanium white paints. Think we'll start sanding our white walls to recycle that titanium? No, it's lost. It's the same with the 3% of tungsten alloy present in some car doors. It will never be...
See, that's fucking stupid. Paint? See, when people start doing... Okay, the one thing that really pisses me off about humanity is what I call cosmetic addiction. Why people have to have jewelry on their hands, face, nose, ears. That metal can be used for something totally productive and useful. Why are you using this, like what he said, titanium in paint? In paint. Why don't you just let the wall be a wall? If you don't like the color of it, hang a poster or something. But people do this like the diamond. The diamond is the most common, like, thing you could find on this planet. It's everywhere. Diamonds are everywhere. They never stop being produced. But they put this price tag on it and hoard everything back to make it so damn expensive. Can you imagine if they actually use them diamonds to create, I don't know, diamond tip drills? And everything is cosmetic. From the car you drive to the clothes you wear, everything's cosmetic. You get judged by it too. The reason, okay, I'm gonna be 100% honest, truthful with you right now. The reason why I got the green screen thing up, my house is shit. I don't like it. I have to hang an American flag behind me just to get some kind of backdrop. You know what I'm saying? I'm POF. Poor as fuck.
Be recycled back into pure tungsten. This doesn't just apply. Theoretically, it could be recycled almost endlessly. Plastic can be recycled no more than 7 times. After that, it loses its properties. In short, a circular economy is a pipe dream. It can't be done. The problem with rare metals, mines are bearing less minerals, which means we need to dig more for the same yield. Once again, we're seeing a declining return on investment. I won't list out all the metal peaks we can expect, but rest assured, metal shortages are coming. All this to say that given the context, building solar panels and generators using all these metals in order to offset other energy sources is misguided. But hey, there's still going to be an economist who will state otherwise.
Exactly, dude. There was a whole 8 years there where total happiness. I had no complaints. And it was all taken away from me like that. And I didn't need anything. I didn't have to buy this, I didn't have to buy that, I didn't have to be rich. I found everything I could possibly want. But someone stepped in and said, hey, you're doing it wrong. I said, what am I doing wrong? You're not going to church. I don't need to go to church. They said, well, you need to send your kids to this public school. Maybe I want to homeschool to keep my kids away from the bullies. What makes you think there's bullies in public school? Because me and my wife were both bullied all through school. So this is our frame of mind as parents when we want to protect our children. We're not allowed to do that. You know another thing? This CASA lady, I don't know what CASA stands for. She works for CPS. She looks at my wife and says, wouldn't you be happier if your children were with a family that could take them to Disneyland? That comment right there let me know right then and there that it was never about parenting. It was never about choices. It was never about the culture of the lifestyle. It was about how much money you can provide at that point in time. The CPS can literally remove children from a home based solely on the fact you can't take your kids to Disneyland. I want you to cycle that through your head for a moment. Dude, this is what we're saying. I couldn't get no one to sign my petition. Rich people don't look at poor people's problems. It's like we don't need to go to Disneyland to be happy. But that was actually used against us. No, okay. Cop jumps over my fence one day, says, where are your kids at? I said, they're right there playing by the dogs.
Did you put them boots out by the driveway?
Yeah,
okay.
Those are mine.
All right, I just want
I'll be right back. I need to get a cigarette. Yeah, sorry about that. A very stressful story about to come up, so I need a cigarette. Alright, so preface everything by saying this. Moved in with my wife's mother and father, my mother and father-in-law. They both died a year apart from each other. And after the death of the father-in-law, a family member got really mad and called CPS on us because they wanted us out of the house. A family member called CPS on us to get us out of the house. Using black mold. They came in, they saw there was no black mold. They said the house is not in a safe condition. They came in, they saw the house is in safe condition. So we already dealt with CPS once. Oh, yeah, dude. It gets worse. So after dealing with CPS that first time, they're like, okay, there's nothing to see here. But we do have an issue with the holes in the walls. I was like, yeah, the guy who called CPS on us, he has anger issues. And back when my mother-in-law and father-in-law were alive, he would come in, beat his wife in front of them, and punch holes in the walls. Sorry, we'll fix that. That's the guy who called CPS on us. Oh, long story shorter for that one, he killed his wife 4 years later. Killed her. Kicked her in the back of the head with a steel-toe boot. Didn't even get a slap on the hand. Anyways, he called CPS on us, dealt with that first time. Blah, blah, blah. That didn't work. He called CPS on us again a second time. This time they said, okay, we're going to send Chubbs in. I was like, what's Chubbs? Some home base service. I was like, okay, whatever. So they come in, they're like, well, you're doing everything right, but we need to safety-proof the house. I was like, what do you mean safety-proof? Well, here's some things, plug this in the slots, whatever, blah. So we dealt with CPS a second time. Now, apparently there's a law. And the law says if you have a CPS called on you more than 3 times, your children are automatically removed. Never heard of this, but in 2018, May 29th, a cop jumps over my fence, says, "Where are your kids at?" Oh, he's in jail now, but for stealing a redneck's truck. And failed drug court misses, failure to appear. He's going to be in jail for a while, but not for that. So, this cop jumps my fence, says, "Where are your kids at?" And I bring my 2 youngest, Val and Julie. I was like, "There, what do you want to see?" "Well, they're playing in sewage." I was like, "Can you show me where they're wet?" Because they're dry from head to toe. They were just back there playing with the dogs. I said, "Where's the sewage you think they were playing in?" She goes over and she points, she goes, "Right there. There's a little pool of water, maybe an inch." I mean, even when we showed the picture of the sewage, this 1-inch little pool of water that was in the backyard, even when we showed that to the jury agreed with them that this 1-inch pool of water was sewage, and even if the kids were dry, they were exposed to it. Okay, you gotta understand the mentality of rich people hating on poor people on this one. Here we go. So after I present them the kids, dry head to toe, clean, new clothes, she jumps on the porch, opens the door. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Don't you need a warrant or something?" She goes, "No, I got probable cause." I said, "What's your probable cause?" "The dirt that's on your kid's knees there." I was like, so them being outside playing and the dust that collected on their legs is probable cause for you to enter my house? Yeah, probable cause. Now, they get in the house, they find out the water shut off. Why is the water shut off? Water shut off because all of our savings were ate up after my recovery because I almost died of septic shock. How did I almost die of septic shock? I collapsed while working at Chili's. Chili's has a law in an at-will state. They can fire you for any reason they want. I collapsed while at work. The manager put me out in the parking lot. In the parking lot, I laid there for almost an hour having seizures and convulsions. The doctor said if I would have laid there another hour, I would have been dead from septic shock. Now, apparently the manager of Chili's didn't want to call 911 because he didn't want to file an incident report. And if he'd filed an incident report, he would have been deported. Yeah, this is how the water got shut off. You think it would be? We went down screaming. I'm still screaming. Wife, she kind of accepted it and gave up. I said, I'm not giving up. Go to my videos here on YouTube. If you go to my YouTube channel, you will see all of my videos. I'm bawling, I'm crying, I'm letting it all out. I'm saying why, I'm saying how, I'm saying where's my lawyer, what's going on, where's the Constitution, where are my basic civil and constitutional rights, where are my parental rights? And here's how it all started. CPS says, well, your parenting is not in question. Of course, this is the 3rd time you've been out and you saw nothing wrong. The children are well behaved, yes, because you've been out 3 times already and you see the children are totally healthy and everything's okay. So we're not questioning any of that. We just want you to get your house fixed and get the water turned on. Okay, we're gonna do that. Is there anything we could do to keep your children safe? You know, to put you at ease that your children are not being harmed in any way. I fucked up. I made a mistake. And this mistake cost me my family. I looked at him and I said, okay, just keep them away from churches and church camps. Yeah, dude. People mock me and make fun of me. It's beyond. Felon Jones says CPS shouldn't be able to do that. Instead of working things out with people, that makes it. Yes, exactly. Speedy, you probably can't see Felon because he's in YouTube chat. But CPS, according to the report, it said reunification was the goal. Reunite the kids with the children. The only thing to get reunification was to get the water turned back on. Once the water was turned back on, there was a government shutdown. After the government shutdown, now, this particular government shutdown was during Trump. And Trump did the government shutdown for the wall. Everything connects ironically. Now, when the government shutdown ends, my judge, the judge who told me to get the water turned back on, is no longer the judge. He is replaced with a younger female, Judge McDaniels. Yeah. So Judge McDaniels flips the script. It's no longer about being the water turned back on or putting safety things in the house. It's about drugs, parenting, and therapy. I was like, when did it become about all that? Because of your action, or because of my reaction to the children being removed, and because of my first statement of how they could keep my kids safe. No churches and no church camps. They said why, and I told them the story. And my wife was sitting next to me, and I was bawling. I was like, I can't let my kids go through what I went through. It's not just the Catholic Church. It's not just the Jehovah's Witness. It's not the churches you see on TV. It's every church. I do not trust the leadership of the buildings that call themselves an institution that is a church, because they're all pedophiles. That's what I said. I said, you want to believe in God? Good. Here's the Bible. Let's read it, blah, blah, blah. You want to do this? Whatever. Just keep them away from the leaders that, especially church camps, where it happens more often. That's where they flipped the script on me and said I needed to get a drug screening. I passed it. Parenting classes, passed it. And therapy. Apparently I have major depressive disorder caused by the removal of the children. A depression they cause that can easily be fixed. Bring the kids back. But no. Apparently, Bill Clinton's ASPA law states that if there is no reunification between at the end of a 15 to 22 month cycle, then there's automatic termination of the kids. Now, we were on day 1 of month 15. We were on day 1 of month 15. They handed me the paperwork for termination. Yeah. I didn't even get 22 months. I got 15. Right now, today, there are 16-year-old kids who have been in the foster system for 15 years. Parents still get to see them. I want you to think about that for a moment. People who have actually abused their kids still get to see their kids. People who have actually been charged with crimes still get to see their kids. Because the ASFA law clearly states if you don't have no support group, a family or family member who will step in and help, they'll take them. I know, dude, I've been saying bruh and we're on year 5 now, man. This happened in 2018. I mean, that's why my stream title is what it is, because it's a countdown, dude. Right now, the only thing that's keeping a lot of us moving is waiting to be able to see them again. That's it. And that's why I have to post these videos on YouTube, because they need to know. They need to know the parents were not at fault. There was nothing. It was all for federal funds. Who pays the judge? Who pays the judge, the public defenders, and the district attorney? It comes from the same federal pool that pays CPS and the therapist. If they're all getting paid by the same man who writes the check, how am I being represented? And for the past 10 years, even before CPS got involved the first time, they've been garnishing my income tax returns 100%. I paid out over $100,000 in income tax returns in the past 10 years. Because when you got 4 kids, you get the max child credit. Max child credit was about $9,690. $9,690 times that many years. They took everything. They took everything on top of taking half of every paycheck. And then I got patriots telling me, you're not working hard enough. Motherfucker, I'm working every day. I walk 8 hours to fucking work. An 11-hour shift just to walk 2 hours back. I spend 16 fucking hours on my feet working so that they could take half my check. I spent 364 days of that year walking back and forth to work. And by the end of the year, they take everything I get back. Yet there's not one politician who represents me. There's not one politician who speaks for me. And they're all the rage. I cannot express the rage. If you want to know why my stream title is like that, the rage. Yeah. There are kids in California right now homeless at 12, but a lot of them choose to be homeless because they're living in abusive households where CPS will not intervene. And if you look at the YouTube video where this lady wanted to scare her daughters straight about social media, she wanted to scare her daughters and give them a lesson that social media was a hunting ground for predators. Guess what she did? She called her friend who worked for CPS. And if you want to watch the video, I could put it on now. She called the friend that worked for CPS, says, I want you to take my 2 daughters, put them in the shelter for an hour, scare them straight. And then when I come to pick them up, we'll tell them what the lesson was. Before the hour was over, her 2 daughters came up missing from a CPS shelter. She found them about 1.5 years later in human trafficking. This was Orange County, California. And if you look up CPS in Orange County, California, $7 million went to that lady. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My kids loved Ryan's toy reviews. My kids loved Ryan's toy reviews. They watch them every day. I still get pop-ups from when the kids used to watch them. It's time for Ryan toy reviews. They call them Ryan toy reveals because of the accent. But yeah, that's what I'm going through. But even though this video here about how everything's going to end, it's not that scary to me because look what I'm going through. They took everything.
Animal farming.
All I have is this laptop and that internet. I wasn't even eligible for. I never had insurance my entire life. Think about this for a moment. I never had insurance my entire life, but I had to pay off a $70,000 bill for the day I was born. Apparently when I was born a month and a half overdue. Being born a month and a half overdue, I was rushed to Cincinnati Children's Hospital in Ohio. And while my mom was filling out the paperwork, I guess they had already assigned me a Social Security number. And the day I was born, that bill went to my Social Security number. Think about that for a minute. I paid to be here. It's like you're pregnant. Well, he's got to pay a cover charge. I guess whatever, right? So after paying that bill off, there was a $76,000 bill for me collapsing at Chili's. No family medical leave, no Better Business Bureau, no labor board, no wrongful termination, nothing. And it was Chili's that caused the collapse. And it was Chili's that kept getting me banned from Twitter because I tried to start a hashtag, boycott Chili's. Everybody loves Chili's, but you don't know that you're being served human fingers. Yeah, our head chef, Cameron, on his Facebook, he agreed. I wish I could go find that thing, but one night he was cutting buffalo chicken at Chili's, and he had already shaken the buffalo sauce on the chicken, and as he was cutting it, he cut his fingertip off. And guess what? He rushed to the hospital, and the same Mexican manager who had me fired because he didn't want to get deported, he plates the salad and sends it out. He gets finally gets back from the hospital. Well, they stitched, blah, 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 did this and that. I still work because it's just the tip of my finger that was cut off. But we need to find the tip. And that manager's like, we already sent it out. Oh, so you served human flesh in a salad at Chili's. Yeah, don't tell no one. That's bad news. You think? I think the thing I went through was worse, but you know, serving human flesh to, yeah, that's good. So Chili's Legal calls me. Yeah, Chili's Legal calls me, and this is while I had a Twitter account, and I just told the whole story from the point I collapsed at Chili's to the point where the kids got took. And Chili's calls me and says, you need to tell us, who was the manager at the time of your collapse? I said, Rogelio Gonzalez. They said, well, we're going to look into this and we're going to try to fix everything. I said, cool, thank you. You're going to fix everything. I get a call the next day. We don't have a Rogelio Gonzalez that has ever worked for us. And I said, okay, let me give you a few names that he has been collecting a check under. Adriana Taxamaro and Frederick Rodriguez. Look up those two names and tell me if one of them is on your schedule. One of them's in your books, in your payroll. That day, I never got a call back, and I was banned from Twitter. Because those two names are on their payroll, but those two people do not work for Chili's. So I consider it attempted murder. When you do not call 911, if your employee collapses, that's attempted murder, especially if the doctor says you would have been dead in an hour if you wouldn't have showed up. No lawyer will help me because I have to have money. You know when they say it takes money to make money? The same is true for constitutional rights. It takes money to have rights. There's a sign outside that says, re-elect Del Curbs for district representative. I called Del Curbs, and he told me the only way I could get anything out of this situation is if I file in a federal court to apply for basic human rights for $76,000. So I need to raise $76,000 to go to a federal court. But on top of that, I need to have a minimum $15,000 to pay the lawyer fee and $5,000 to file it. Just for basic human rights. So until I can go to a federal court to get those, not only do I not have basic human rights, I don't have constitutional rights. What do you call a person of the lower class in a position of servitude that has no affordable rights equal to any other class? That's a slave. I've been put in jail for failure to find a job. That's not a crime. I want you to look my name up in ODCR and see what my crime was for losing my children. Because whenever you go to the news, Channel 4 here, Channel 5, Channel 9, well, every time there's a child neglect case and the parents lose custody of the kids, they put it on the news. And the parents' names go on the list. And they broadcast the photos and the names. These two parents said blah, 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 are guilty of this, and I've seen it every week. They put the parents on the news. Why didn't we get put on the news? How come we were not charged with any crime? How come we weren't put in any, like in Tulsa, when the parents were putting their kids in cages, they arrested the kids, they arrested the parents, put the kids in CPS, and parents in jail, and they put the parents' name on the list and said, this is a felony charge, and these two people should not be around kids. That they always did it around the news, but with me, you won't find anything. My wife, you won't find anything. And the weird thing is, the more people I tell, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Yeah. Okay, well, what about A, B, and C? Well, that's just anecdotal. Well, fuck, George Floyd was anecdotal. He was one of 9. And you're bitching like it's a mass thing. If you don't accept one anecdotal to go along with the statistic, then you don't get the statistic. Yeah, I haven't owned a TV since 2011. I mean, I got TVs, but specifically for Roku reasons, but mine's broken now, so all I got is this laptop here. And I was really bored today, and I started streaming, and the countdown has begun. It has. I'm so close. Let's finish this video. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a cigarette.
Breeding and feeding animals consumes large amounts of food and water. Instead, we could be using this to feed our own selves, or to offset our heavy reliance on production fields. Farm animals also produce methane, a greenhouse gas considered to be 30 times more potent than CO2. Livestock consumes an astronomical amount of water, which contributes to deforestation in the Amazon and overfishing, as fish byproducts are often used to feed pigs. As for slaughterhouses, I won't dare dig into the ethics, though I certainly could. Energy production, metals, transportation, animal farming, all of them pollute, and as such, they all contribute to the increase in global temperatures. If all countries signed on to the COP21 agreement make good on their promises, which isn't a given, we could expect global temperatures to rise by 3.5 degrees by 2100. 3.5 might not seem like all that much, but trust me, it's disastrous. Are you sitting down? Here's what that number represents. The Arctic melts completely, oceans expand, sea levels rise. Florida no longer exists. Miami and New York are gone. Bangladesh and a bunch of Pacific islands get wiped out. The glaciers of Tibet melt, so come summer, the 3 major rivers of Asia, including the Ganges, run dry. Major problems befall densely populated areas. Shanghai is located at the gates of a desert. Rainfall turns rare across the Mediterranean basin. Crop yields drop, forcing millions to migrate north, where resources are insufficient to accommodate exploding populations. Oh, and for those who might say, relax, that's in 2100, do you honestly believe that everything will run smoothly up until December 31, 2099? If the 3.5 degree scenario plays out, and it is apparently rather optimistic according to many, Miami and New York are actually gone by 2050.
They've been saying
Among
that
other
for years.
scenarios, one is labeled with a 10% chance of occurring, which would see a 6-degree global increase. In this case, expect total annihilation of mankind. And if you feel 10% is low enough to rest easy, I dare you to hop on a plane that has a 10% chance of crashing. You'd probably think twice. What about that 2-degree increase, you might ask? Well, we've already released enough carbon to raise global temperatures by 1.25 degrees, which only gives us 0.75 degrees worth of wiggle room to meet that target. I'll make this short. To achieve that, we would have to divide our current standard of living by 6 immediately. This isn't what we're doing, nor is it in the plans of any of our governments. Let's move on to
No, they're not playing
things,
shit.
though central to the argument over systemic collapse, the human collective. What better way to address this than to discuss?
They would rather address what's dangling between someone's legs. They would rather address the color of someone's skin. These are infantile children we're dealing with. There are no priorities in politics. There are no priorities in politics. Money is the number one thing. Why do Black Lives Matter? Look how much the organization made in money. Why do feminists want this man in a wig to go beat women at sports? Money. It's all money.
Our financial system. The crisis of 2008 showed us that risky bets taken by a few banks were all it took to trigger a global financial crisis. This is very much due to the interconnected nature of our society. Reckless miscalculations on Wall Street can cause job losses in Spain.
The minute you get rid of money, at that point, you will see people's soul come out. If they're evil, then they're going to be the ones that kill and take, kill and take, kill and take. If they're good, they're the ones that are going to create and share, create and share, create and share. Calm down in there. Now, I envision it is a type of communist society, but I envision a Gene Roddenberry future where people work to better themselves and everything is provided. But it can't be provided unless somebody works on it. That's why they're making it. They're bettering themselves. Hey, I just helped this factory make 100,000 shoes, but now I feel good for shoeing so many people. Well, because you felt good for shoeing so many people, we're going to give you this car, TV, and house and say, hey, keep it up, keep doing it, and we'll give you more stuff. As opposed to, here's as little money as possible to help you survive as little as possible. I envision that Gene Roddenberry future. Gene Roddenberry had it right. If in 23 trillion years, there's nothing but particles of light and black holes, the human race won't be here anyway. So, what we need to do is expand. We need to explore strange new worlds and civilizations. We need to boldly go where no man has gone before. Because if we sit down here bickering about penises and vaginas, we're never going to evolve. Am I right?
All financial experts agree the next major crisis will strike within 5 years. My limited knowledge of this field make me fear this as well. A population that is already suffering from economic inequality is more exposed than ever before. Economic inequality is more glaring and it's only expected to rise. This increases the risk of revolt. Given everything I've described so far, major societal unrest could greatly complicate.
When you have so much money that you could literally buy the entire planet and it still won't make you happy, you probably don't need that money. Money is the root of all evil. Why? Because people are hoarding it. Thanks for stopping by, Speedy. Yeah. Tomorrow we could talk about why Bill Clinton changed all the quarters. Me, I like the old eagle on the quarter. I mean, yeah, thank you, man. I mean, like my stream title suggests, I mean, I'm going through so much stuff and I have to watch people bicker about their sexuality. That's it, sex. It's like, damn, go out and have it instead of staying here and bitching about it. Maybe if you had it, you wouldn't worry about cutting it off. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, get laid. Just point blank. Yeah. Ooh, Exit Mundi, dude. If when you do get a chance, go to Exit Mundi, M-U-N-D-I. I don't know the exact, so I'm going to Google it. Exitmundi.nl. It's a collection of world scenarios and apocalypses. And one of my favorite ones is we all reach the point of singularity, put ourselves into nanobots, and then kill ourselves out of boredom. Yeah, it's very, if you like doomsday scenarios, this is the page. Apparently, it hasn't been updated in a while, but the stories are still there. And there's so much more they can add to it. They can make a whole documentary just on end of the world scenarios. Yeah, right here, religion. They even add the zombie apocalypse just in case. Oh, I love SCPs. My favorite one, and I have his mask. I'm going to show you real quick before you leave. My favorite SCP because I bought his mask. No barking, it's just a mask. No barking. Now it is dusty. It's got a lot of dust on it because I haven't worn it in so long. This is my favorite SCP. Yeah, man, the Plague Doctor is the shit. I know, man. I just want to collect more. I want to get one that's hard vinyl or something. But then again, here's what makes me a hypocrite. Remember what I said earlier about me hating the cosmetics? But I love masks, man. I like the Plague Doctor mask. I like all the superhero masks like Spider-Man and Deadpool. Yeah, send me some videos. And the next time I stream, we'll go talk about all that other good shit. Talk about anything. I mean, to me, any topic's a good topic, unless it's like I said though. I mean, the climate change thing, because of how old I am and how many I've lived through. Yes, I do know about the website, and I tried to create an SCP. You know, they had a little contest where make the next SCP. Yeah, I wanted to make that nanobot an SCP. But the weird thing is, my story went a little bit too far, and that one nanobot was literally every other SCP. It was a sentient creature that replicates himself and turns himself into different things, which is how you came up with SCP-69. All the SCPs were spawned from this one nanobot that was sentient. Yeah, they are very strict, but I don't know, I just like nanobots. I really wish, I just want my brain to be preserved and shelved, but my entire body is just nanobots. My consciousness, my thoughts, but an undying body. That would be fucking awesome. But if you fresh out the store. Yeah. There's a lot of urban legends that could easily be SCPs. But I think they covered some of them. Like the hook on the car door, it turns out that that story spawned from an SCP, you know, something like that. Yeah. Like, COVID attacks the respiratory system. But what people don't know is that it's actually nanobots that are breeding inside the body. You make it something that could be real in our reality, because nanobots do exist, but right now all they got them doing is just spelling out letters and stuff. Yeah, I like to make up urban legends, like the one about the man who moved into a house and he had 3 dogs, and he let his 3 dogs run around in his backyard, and one of the dogs started eating the grass, and the next day he found his dog dead, and he kept asking all the neighbors, who poisoned my dog, who poisoned my dog, because the vet says he has cyanide in his system. Then in the next weeks to follow, his other 2 dogs would die, both of cyanide poisoning. Now, according to this urban legend, when they finally dug up the ground, they found all these dead bodies in the backyard, and all the bodies died of cyanide poisoning, and the cyanide collected in the soil and grew in the grass, and the dogs ate the grass and died of cyanide poisoning. Bam! But that didn't pick up. It was an urban legend I tried to create, but it didn't really spread that well. Like the serial killer who left his bodies in the backyard. And yeah. Yes, exactly. That was part of it. It's like, oh, I like the smell of almonds in the backyard. Why does it smell? And then your dog's ended it. What's going on here? Oh, there are dead bodies. And it is true, like formaldehyde poisoning. Like the lady who took the wedding dress off the dead body and put it on for her wedding, and she died of formaldehyde poisoning because the formaldehyde seeped through the skin and went into the wedding dress. Totally believable. Not sure if it happened or not. But yeah, you can get formaldehyde poisoning if you leave clothes on a dead body long enough that has formaldehyde in it. Yeah. But yeah, I want to go back, look at some SCPs. Hey, the last time you were here, weren't we talking about SCPs? Yeah, there it is, my favorite one, right on the top. Bam. You know, the only thing that actually kept the real plague doctors safe from the plague was the flowers that they put inside the mask and acted as a filter. But if they would have worn masks, kind of like today, how everybody has to wear a mask to keep COVID off, those masks would not have helped back then. Just a lot like the masks are not helping today. You need these plague doctor masks, and you need a filter. All right. I'll talk to you in a few. I'd love to see you again.
The esteemed Dr. Thomas Morstead entered the cell of the anomaly. He'd been warned and even chastised by his colleagues. But who in the Foundation could tell him what to do? He was the best at what he did. Maybe the greatest in the whole history of the Foundation. As he entered the room, SCP-049 bid him welcome, cordial as always. So polite, in fact, that you'd never...
I love the Plague Doctor. I like the story of how he came to be.
Yes, you were talking to a killer. Dr. Morstead knew the truth of what he was dealing with, but he also believed he could get through to 049.
Yeah, today's mask, oh my god. They put no thought into it. It's not even cloth, and it has no filter. I mean, I'd be safer just walking around doing this. At least, I mean, that's the same. And one store wouldn't let me do this. They said, you need a mask. So I put my shirt over my nose like this. You're not allowed to do that. Whatever. God, the mask thing. See, people bickering over masks. People bickering over sexuality and sex parts. People bickering over skin color. We're never going to advance as a human race. So the countdown is on.
Calm him. Exorcise the devil from him. It was the meeting of two great minds. One of them human, one of them part human, part something that has never been clear. It was to be a battle of wits, and like so many great battles, this one would turn into a massacre. Before we get to that fateful meeting, there are some things you should know about the anomaly known as SCP-049. If you saw him in the street, the first thing you'd think of is plague. because 049 always looked the same. A man dressed in black robes with a plague doctor's mask. But this wasn't a costume that could be taken off. In fact, it wasn't a costume at all. It was him. The robes had grown out of him like an exoskeleton. That horrible mask with the pointed nose wasn't covering his face. It was his face. A kind of shell that had seemingly sprouted from bone. The first reports came during World War II. In a picturesque town in the south of France called Multiverse, people had begun going missing. Children disappeared from their beds in the middle of the night and weren't seen again. Adults went to the market and never returned. Local authorities searched high and low. They scoured nearby woods and dragged the rivers, but nothing was found. Because what was happening wasn't criminal. There was no clue they could stumble upon, or eyewitness who would break the case. No, this was something else. Something that the townsfolk could never understand. Word spread, and that's when a search and discovery team was sent from the Foundation. It was a cold, dark night in January of 1941 when the team found what they were looking for. They walked through the open door of a small house located not too far from the Grand Chateau de Richelieu to find a masked man sitting next to an open fire. And he wasn't alone. The floor around him looked like it was moving. Upon closer inspection, the team saw that the floor was covered with writhing, grasping bodies. It's patients, as it called them. Bienvenue chez moi, said my favorite. Welcome to my home. Those so-called patients crawled towards the team, intent to cause harm. The hostiles, now known as SCP-049-2s, were deemed dangerous and had to be eliminated. A sight, it seemed, that didn't bother 049 in the slightest. It just sat there, occasionally looking up from writing notes in a leather-bound book as his patients were gunned down. Once the carnage ended, it simply closed its book, stood up, and allowed itself to be escorted away. And that's the story of how 049 ended up at the facility, becoming a guest of sorts, staying in a standard secure humanoid containment cell, Research Sector 02, Site 19. The few that came into contact with 049 remarked that it was a pleasure for them. With its impeccable manners, vast knowledge of medicine and human anatomy, sharp tongue, and stinging wit. They almost became spellbound listening to it, caught in the throes of its charms until, with the simple touch of its hand, it would drain the life from them. That's why SCP-049 was classified as a Euclid. That's why armed guards were always stationed outside its cell. It's why doctors took great precautions when in its presence, and it's why Dr. Morstead should have known better. Remember, when 049 was discovered in France, it willingly went with the team, like it was happy it had been found, as if it had planned its own capture. When it arrived at the facility, it didn't act like it was contained against its will. It was like it was returning home. Initial findings as to the biology of 049 were that it didn't require any sustenance at all, not even water. It seemed content to be left alone with its notebooks. It did not object when it was asked if it could share some of its notes and gladly handed over its journals. But upon examination, it was discovered that they were written in the language that no linguist or cryptologist has so far been able to translate. It's apparent that 049 derives much satisfaction from seeing so...
Yeah, this SCP is one of the best ones out there. As a total mystery pops up out of nowhere. And honestly, it is death. It's death. Pestilence is humanity. He wants to seek pestilence. He wants to get rid of us of the disease, but we are the disease. That's why the humans keep dying.
So-called experts struggle over its text. Unable to read those notes, a long line of doctors visited 049 in its cell, each fascinated by what they beheld. It was learned that it has traveled the globe. It speaks many languages, but prefers to speak what it calls les langues de l'amour, French. It asked for only one thing: warm-blooded animals. The facility agreed to supply 049 with various kinds, including rabbits, cattle, and even an ape on one occasion. Just like with humans, it could kill the animals with a mere touch of its hand, sucking the life right out of them. But that wasn't even the most incredible part. Soon those animals would rise again, as if reanimated by 049. They would become, for all intents and purposes, the living dead. And they were hostile. After several unfortunate incidents, they were taken from the cell the moment they arose and disposed of in the incinerator. This was not to the liking of 049, who would claim it had cured the animals. For it, the world was sick. It saw plague and pestilence everywhere, and the meaning of its existence was to rid the world of disease. Humans, it said, contained a virus and had to be cleansed. In the first days after arriving at the facility, 049 didn't seem to pose a threat to humans. He was quite friendly, in fact. It seemed aware of the fear it caused in staff, and would often go out of its way to make them feel comfortable and safe. This was a ruse, of course, or a canard, as 049 liked to say. It had no intention to help humans. No, it had come for humans. It wasn't trapped. It had set a trap.
Pretty much.
One of the first people to truly upset 049 was Dr. Raymond Ham, a well-respected physician that had twice been a contender for the Nobel Prize for his more mainstream work. What had confused Dr. Ham the most was not 049's clothes-like exoskeleton, or even his ability to reanimate the dead, but the bag that it used. 049 was somehow able to pull a seemingly endless supply of surgical tools from that bag. Sometimes it would even pull out objects that were somehow larger than the bag itself. It was as if the bag connected to somewhere else. And that's what Dr. Ham wanted to talk about on that fateful day. With 049 on one side of the cell and Dr. Ham on the other, he asked, "How is it that you can produce a great quantity of tools from that bag? I've observed you, and it seems to me that you are doing the impossible." "Dear doctor,"
He's
replied
making them
049,
as he goes,
"the
because he can create them. He's an
the
SCP.
great dying cannot be fought with a handful of toys. My bag is merely the product of my imagination. It gives me what I require.
Exactly.
You, dear
Oh, I
sir,
want one of
it
those
seems,
bags.
Are limited by your imagination." It stopped for a second or two and stared at Dr. Ham. "I detect you are unwell," it said, in a voice not as amiable as before. "It's just a cold," said the doctor. "Ah, just a cold. If you had seen what I have seen, you would not utter such insulting words." Dr. Ham pulled out some papers from a briefcase and approached 049, holding them close enough so it could read them. "You see," said Dr. Ham, pointing to the results on the paper, "those animals you say you cured, they were not diseased. They were perfectly healthy before they died. And your so-called cure, it turned them into something quite terrible. We found that if they were left alone, they began to eat each other, and then themselves." 049 did not respond, and after a brief pause said only, "A good day to you, doctor. Please close the door on your way out. You should get some rest." Ham refused to go, and instead turned the conversation to this real interest, the bag, demanding that 049 let him see inside of it. "Very well, doctor," 049 said.
Nothing.
049 began to pull a series of long metal poles out of its bag, followed by a rolled-up curtain that it hung between them, creating a kind of medical tent around Dr. Ham. It seemed to stare for just a moment into the observation camera outside of itself before whipping the curtain shut. Dr. Ham was discovered 3 hours later, crawling around the floor of 04.
Yeah. He's pretty much the angel of death. That's it. He was sent to rid humans of the pestilence. And humans need to be rid of this pestilence, this ignorance, this insanity, because that's what it is, it's insanity. And the only people who are speaking with a rational voice are being shut up and blocked out. Let's see. Yeah, we're all getting strikes, dude.
For the last 4 days, I'm the dumps. I've been trying to get back on the horse and say, okay, all right, man, do some more videos. We got to get ready. We got to make sure that when the channel is back up, we can get going. Like we're running. Like we are ready to run the same way we was before. I'm afraid to freaking pick out content now because I don't know who's going to strike me. I want to tell y'all what happened, but please just give me like 5 to 6 minutes. I might be talking for like 10 to 12. I promise you, you won't regret it. First, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who supports the channel and support me, support my family.
However I can.
Man. I want to tell you guys what happened. I received a strike on the channel. What I do is I find something that I feel is interesting to me, that provides value to me.
Yes.
And I'm not just going to assume that your algorithm is going to allow.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. That's a weird thing. Right now, I'm creating something because I'm watching something and I'm giving my comments, my critique, my opinions, whatever. Now, because of what I'm doing, it's like can he strike me for watching his video on my stream? Well, he can, yes. But he's not the kind that's going to. Now, if I went to a video where Bill Maher was saying something fucking retarded, Bill Maher actually had a lot of my Facebook posts removed. It's like, oh my God, people can't handle nothing. They're gonna come after you, man. They will come after you. You speak any kind of truth, they will hate on you, and YouTube doesn't like it when the truth goes up on their algorithm. I mean, just think about it.
Allow you to see the same thing that interests me or gave me some value. So what I like to do, I like to place that short in front of my supporters, because I want you to also be able to appreciate it. So I did that to somebody's short. It kind of broke my heart too, because on that day, for some strange reason, I had a lot on my mind. And before I got in the shower, I cut on their content. Not content that I react to, but content of them being in a church, because they're a pastor, being in a church, preaching the word of God to people, and just lifting people up. And I listen to that type of stuff probably like 4 days out of the week, while I'm in the shower, or while I'm at the gym or something, or while I'm just doing things around the house. But this particular day, I had a lot on my mind. And I cut on this person's video early in the morning, and I'm getting my mind right. And after the video was done, I felt great. I felt good. I got out the shower. I got my clothes together. I put on my cousin's brand, GRA for great. It's also motivation. I was just trying to keep everything working the way it was. Outwork Yesterday t-shirt with my great pants on, great socks, GR8 socks. And turns out this pastor has purchased outfits like t-shirts, sweatsuits, socks, those type of things from my cousin who has this brand, the GR8. So everything was just tying in. It's like I'm starting to feel good again. And then I'm contacted by someone who works with me. Let me know that the channel had a strike.
Really?
Right. I didn't get sad. I think I got more frustrated than anything. Because what people don't understand is, if a YouTube channel, no matter how well it is doing, if a YouTube channel gets 3 strikes within 90 days, that YouTube channel...
That's why I don't post a lot, dude.
...shuts down completely. Now, when I got this strike, it was for a short. It was for a video that I actually agreed with. I was rooting people on to, he's talking some good stuff. Because basically what he was saying to people is, watch how you spend your money. Take better care of your finances after you go and work hard for them.
Oh my God.
Stop caring so much about people, about impressing.
Yeah, you know why you got the strike? Because that guy, he's all about making your money, keeping your money. But if you, even if it's a short, post a video of you shaking your head while he's saying that, he's saying, he's making money off me. I can't let him do that. That's called greed. Some people do it for spite, some people do it for money. But the YouTube strike system is fucking stupid.
I've seen people who don't care for you. I thought that message was powerful. So I did a quiet, silent reaction to that and presented that to my audience because I thought that would add some value to your lives.
Yep. It did. I saw it.
That video got strike. Now, here's the thing. There's a red flag with this video. It's a red flag with the strike anyway. Because if you go and look at shorts, you will see that if you click on the 3 little dots that's below it, and you wanted to react to it, it would give you it would give you the option to react to it,
Yes.
to remix it, or it wouldn't have that. It wouldn't have that option if you're not able to do it. This video had that option. What's wild is I do Fox News videos, like long form, all the time. But Fox News, their shorts don't have that option for you to react to it. If you press on those 3 little buttons at the bottom to try to get the little reaction, so you can react to them, it's not there. It doesn't allow you to do it. So if you try to go some other type of way to do it, screen record it, upload it to TikTok as so that you can see it yourself, and then react to it with the box over top of it or with the green screen so that only your body is on it, like my body is on this right here. And please allow me to explain to you my background in a minute, because it means it has a lot to do with this right here. So Fox News don't have that option. So I can't react to Fox News shorts. This video by Bishop T.D. Jakes did have this option for me to react to it. So I did. I used the option that was given to me by T.D. Jakes Ministry. So I react to it, I post it, it's doing well. People are watching it. Like in 4 days, I believe, it had like 84,000 views, which is amazing. I'm like, these people are getting some value from it.
A lot of people get a value from it.
Don't care for it too much.
But YouTube don't care, and neither does the creator, the original guy.
I enjoyed it. But, wow, this is the crazy part. But I later find out that T.D. Jakes has personal issues with some of the people that I've been reacting to on this channel. I'm hoping that strike was not egregious.
It was.
Because
you know it was.
Content creators usually, as a courtesy,
there's no courtesy content
instead
creators.
of striking someone's channel because we know what it does to someone's channel,
Dude, I ain't got no views. I ain't got no subs. People are striking me left and right. Apparently not within this 90-day period, but because it was, if I had all these strikes within the time period you explained, then I'd already be gone. But no, they do it because they're pissed off. They have nothing to say. They don't want to debate. All they have is censorship. I've been banned from Twitter. I've been banned from Tumblr. I've been banned from Instagram. I've been banned from Parler. I mean, and there's even this other, I forget the name of it, but it was one of those pro-Trump Republican ones. I got banned from that one. Banned from half of the chats on Twitch because of my point of views. I have absolutely no followers. People are striking me. They do it because they hate. And when they hate, they don't want to come at you and try to change your mind about anything. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to debate you. They don't want to do anything. The first reaction and action is, hey, if you're associated with that guy, you're getting a strike. Yeah, oh, dude, the first videos I posted before posting what I post now, I thought I was going to be original and unique, and I'm going to do things this way, but no, that's literally when the shit hit the fan with me. And when the shit hit the fan, I had to get off YouTube for a long while. And I believe I had 2 strikes because people were showing up in my comment section. You pedophile fucking freak. I was like, dude, this is a silent video, like a horror movie where I walk up to the school and it's like sepia tone, old 30s film stock. It's like a 30-second clip or something. And random people would show up and just leave the most ridiculous comments. Like, really fat ass, like almost like the people I know offline who hated me would show up just to leave that comment. Now imagine everyone is like that, even the content creators. So you like Caitlyn Bennett. He don't like Caitlyn Bennett. if you agree with something Caitlin Bennett says, this money guy doesn't get him for that, because I don't want to be associated with someone who likes Caitlin Bennett, which is the weird thing, because you are linking, well, let's say you're linking a left and a right, because you agree with both sides. You're a moderate person. So while you're agreeing with one and agreeing with the other, Caitlin is not a shallow person. She's not one of these people, oh, I'm going to hate him for liking what that preacher said because we don't agree on certain things. But he will look, oh, I don't like her, so he must be associated with her, and I don't want him anywhere linked with her. That's why you got the strike, bro. I mean, I'm sorry. You don't deserve it. I watch you every day. Every damn day. Even when I'm walking to work, I'm hitting my shorts, I'm glad to see you. And yeah, we should not be getting strikes over stupid shit. It's censorship. It all comes down to censorship. Chili's had me censored when I tried to start the Boycott Chili's campaign, try to tell people about how they almost killed me. They didn't care. If they got a certain point of view and they're on a certain platform, then the platform is going to side with them automatically. Like if I went to Twitter and I kept hashtagging I'm non-binary, blah blah blah, and that's the only thing I posted, I'd probably get 50,000 followers in a day, because it's a buzzword they love to hear. But if you speak about something, oh, I like what this guy had to say, but he doesn't like that I reviewed her, so he struck me. He's trying to do what Twitter and Instagram are doing. It's only step one to a cancellation process, and he probably will strike you again. He's just watching you, waiting for that move.
You know what it could potentially do to someone's livelihood. They will send a message, tell YouTube to reach out to the content creator that violated by using our content without our permission. YouTube will contact us and say, remove this within 7 days and you'll be fine. If you don't remove it within 7 days, you will get a strike and that video will be removed. So we're telling you right now, you got 7 days to remove this video from your channel and you will be fine. No harm, no foul. Had I received that email, I would have done it quickly, with the quickness, but I didn't get that chance. All right, so when I got that strike, I was not able to do videos for 7 whole days. Of course, that's revenue and everything, but I wasn't even considering income at that point.
Dude, I don't even look at YouTube and Twitch as a revenue possibility. When you're poor, you're going to be poor forever, and I can't even get 30 people to sign a petition. I can't get one person to go to a GoFundMe. I don't even know where to begin. That simply talking in front of this thing becomes revenue. Because I'm not the kind of person who's gonna make a video to please A or B. I have no agenda. Because I neither agree with that one nor this one, both sides are gonna hate me because it's not a choice. I don't choose not to agree. I have something called common sense. Common sense. If you have a penis, you're a boy. If you have a vagina, you're a girl. Common sense. Even if you cut it off and change, you still have the inside testosterone, muscular build, everything. Yes, so common sense. Men can do almost anything with a strength that is 10 times stronger than a woman. Just look at any of the MMA fights where the trans woman fractures the skull of the biological. You can't use common sense. People don't follow common sense. So if I wanted to get revenue from, I would have to be a ball-sucking ass kisser. Yes, but I need to pick a side too. I need to pick a side. Trump 2020, or I can't even fake. I'm trying to make Biden look good. I can't even do that. So it's very weird, dude.
What I was thinking about was, can I be as confident as I usually am in doing my videos from now
Yeah,
on?
you can.
Should I email
Ignore it, dude.
every single
Ignore it.
content creator of the content that I'm going to review and ask permission and wait for them to respond?
No,
So
it's
that
called
I at
it's
least
called a
have
creative.
something,
No,
some type of proof that you said that I can do something with.
it's called fair use. It's like when the Metallica and the RIAA sued Napster for people downloading Metallica songs. Metallica is pussies for doing that, by the way. You don't sue your own fans for listening to your music, because if you did, then you would sue the radio stations that play your music. Because even though the advertisers pay the radio station pay blah, 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 I don't give a fuck how the money works and what angle. If you have a VCR, a cassette recorder, a DVD recorder, an MP3 recorder, if you ever, why sell the fucking recorders? Why? When back in the 80s, when they had the Beta and the VCR, you hook it up to your TV. Why? Because I don't want to tape the football game. That's copyright infringement, motherfucker, because that football game is being played on the station, and if you don't watch them advertisements, you're not paying for the football game. Well, I'll record the advertisements too. Okay, but now it's illegal to sell that. Let's say I'm gonna sell you this. Say I got a picture of the game. Some people do that, but no, the whole copyright shit is bullshit, and now they're going too far with it. They're gonna start copyrighting words. They're gonna start copyrighting colors. They're gonna start copyrighting just basic sounds. Like, you can't go, well, that's been copyrighted. No, it's stupid. If you let your music play on the radio, you can automatically hit the record button. It's free. If you're watching a movie on ABC, NBC, CBS, and you hit the record, it's free. It's yours. I already paid for the song because I paid for the CD to burn it onto. I paid for the computer to download it, and I paid for the internet to get access to it. And you want me to pay you extra? No. This copyright law is bullshit. They get enough money from creating it. They shouldn't get money for sitting on their ass after people are trying to get to it.
I apologize, I didn't know it, I didn't see anything, because reactions and reviewing videos is fair use. If you don't want me to do it,
once it is online and published, it is fair use.
Please contact me directly. You can email me and I will take it down immediately. Or you can email YouTube and YouTube will contact me and I will take it down immediately. That didn't happen for us. And I'm hoping that this did not happen because of some petty beef that this person has with someone that I've been doing videos for. I'm catching straight bullets at this point.
Yeah.
Really quickly, this picture that's behind me is the neighborhood I grew up in. This is Southeast DC. This is Livingston Road. Still look like this to this day. This barbershop right here, this is a barbershop right here, called Davis Barbershop. When I was in the 5th grade, I went to this barbershop because I used to go to this barbershop to get my hair cut all the time. And something I used to do around neighborhoods to try to get some money and not do things the wrong way. I used to go to the gas station and I used to pump people gas for a quarter, 35 cents, 50 cents, dollar, whatever you can give me. And I also offered, I had a squeegee and I had a solution that I made up in a squirt bottle so I can clean your windows as well, if you will let me do it. I used to do that all the time. I used to take out trash. I used to sell candy, do whatever I could to try to make some money. One time I went inside this barber shop and I said, do you all ever have like special events that I can probably do something for money? And they thought it was funny. But I used to sing when I was really young. I used to be in all the talent shows. And I probably wasn't the greatest singer, but my confidence was over the roof. So I asked them if I can sing for them in one of their, if they had a special event. They said, yes, we usually have a Christmas party every year. I said, can I sing there? And they said, yeah. I said, can I get paid? They said, yeah. That was my first business deal as far as being able to sing there and get paid. In my singing group, my friends, we sung there. And we sung Christmas songs. And it was awesome. And we got paid for it. And I'm glad that they allowed us to do that. The reason why I brought that up is because my confidence then was simply provide some value, do a service for someone, and get either get paid or get some recognition that will bring you closer and closer and closer to accomplishing your dreams or your goals. I thought that's how you did things. As a content creator, your confidence goes down and down and down once you realize that if you say the wrong things on the wrong platform, your whole livelihood can be wiped from under you. It could be.
See, that's a fucked up thing, dude. That is the fucked up thing. The fucked up thing about what you just said. If you say the wrong thing on the wrong platform, then they're going to take your whole livelihood away from you. It's my strict belief that there is no wrong thing to say. If somebody's offended by it, they should just get offended and walk the fuck away. If someone is going to ban you for saying the wrong thing, that is censorship. That's like the Catholics telling the Protestants you're not allowed to do this. That's like the Spanish Inquisition saying you have to do things our way. We don't live in that society. Actually, we do. We do, because Twitter has banned me, Instagram has banned me, Tumblr has banned me, and Parler has banned me. All because I speak from the middle and I speak truth. It may not be your truth. It may not be their truth. It's my truth. But if you just take into account that you live in a society where censorship is the only thing that makes them feel safe, you just have to. Me, I'm never going to watch it. That's why I don't have any followers. Because I do not watch what I say and I don't care. But I do like you. I watch you all the time. And I hope this does not discourage you in any way to keep you from doing what you've been doing, because you do it awesome. Anyways, I will see you guys later. I'll be back a little later. I want to go play some Yu-Gi-Oh! I would play it on the live stream here, but for some reason OBS won't pick up the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duels window. So,